Good evening, members of council. I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting for Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, September 2nd to order. It's been moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Kersey, that the agenda for this meeting be adopted. Are there any changes to the agenda? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest. That is, any conflicts of interest. Do any members have any conflicts they need to disclose at this time? There are none. Can that be so noted in the minutes, Madam Clerk? The first item is, as we get into department reports, the first item is corporate services, and we have an update regarding the Fenwick Downtown Revitalization. It has been moved by, thank you, Councillor Riviak, seconded by Councillor King. The Committee of the Whole received the Fenwick Downtown Revitalization Project update for information. Any discussion regarding the matter? Councillor Riviak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report makes reference to remediation of soil that needs to be completed. I'm just wondering whether we can have some update with respect to both the cost that's expected, but mostly to any delay to the project that might occur as a result. Please.
Okay. Mr. Mantle? The treasurer said that you're the one to answer that question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The soil remediation has been identified in the areas where the storm sewer will go. It starts approximately at the intersection of Church Street and Canberra Road and extends up almost to Maple Street. I think there's two locations along there that need to be excavated. We're not chasing this contaminated soil. We're simply removing whatever we have to excavate for the storm sewer itself. So it reduces the amount of contaminated soil that we have to deal with. That will have to be removed to an appropriate licensed waste disposal site. We have an approximate cost of I think it's $35 per ton as the tipping fee at the landfill, and there's probably about 1,000 tons that will be excavated and removed. So that would be $35,000 plus additional trucking costs.
If I may, for you.
I wouldn't think so. The project, if you've looked around out there, is proceeding at two different ends right now, which was kind of a big plus. We did not expect that to occur in that manner. So I guess through that soil remediation issue, it's required our excavating contractor to start work at the Church Street storm sewer outlet and proceed north with his storm sewer construction, and allowed the Hydro One contractor to start at the east end of Canberra Road and work his way around the corner. So I think he's more or less done the north side of Canberra Road and up Maple, the east side of Maple already. So he's moving along quite nicely. The general contractor, which is Stevensville Lawn Service Incorporated, they want to move that work along as quickly as possible. Once Hydro One is out of the way, they can move in and start doing some of their landscaping, more or less give the residents a bit of a taste of what is to come, because there's no storm sewer going up at that end by the library. It's just simply electrical work, and once the duct work is in, cables can be pulled afterwards. As soon as the stuff's buried, the transformer pad at the new location east of the library has already been installed. So that was kind of the anchor point for that entire end of the project. So that's what their plan is to move ahead with some of these landscaping attributes, again, just to give everybody a taste of what's to come.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The answer.
Anything further? Councillor Kersey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to express my thanks to the Finance Department bringing this forward in such a clear manner. I think it gives transparency to the community, but also to us as councillors to know where we sit, and we can monitor the project as we go through it, so we have an understanding of what overages we might be faced with.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of the timing of this, Madam Treasurer, will we keep getting this update every month? Is that the intention?
Yes, it'll come again in the cow in October. However, if I've got better numbers for, I think the numbers for the gas, our cable are in, and the remediation will be in soon. So if we have that, I will bring it to the next meeting of council as well.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you. We look forward to those updates and to continue to monitor the situation. Sounds like things are progressing very well. Thank you, Mr. Mantle. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Lane. The Committee of the Whole received the August 2014 Corporate Services Monthly Report for information. Questions, comments? Anybody? Quick comment. Pleased that town's moving in on e-deposits. Very good to see those ads on the TV about take a picture of your thing, and so we can have that technology. Can we just hear a little bit more about the fixed asset inventory work? It seems like there's a process to streamline work here. Madam Treasurer?
Yes, part of the asset management program is to be able to forecast out your repair and maintenance schedules for your assets, and forecasting out, you can do it as long as 50 years or 50 years out. So one of the things that we're doing now is trying to find out what every department is doing and how they're working with the fixed assets they deal with. Like Public Works has their own little software system that they're also putting data in. So there's some duplication and some process that we can streamline by having only one point of entry and having one system. And we're hoping to use PSR to create a service order against the asset, and that directly linked to the asset in some sort of system, and everything upload to our financial management system. Take that information, throw it into a valuation table, and be able to get repairs and maintenance schedules for the next 10 years. And it's something that the province is looking for as part of grant applications as well. So we've met a couple times, and we're just trying to figure out what software will work the best with evaluating the depreciation and coming up with numbers that we can use for our auditing system. And that ultimately is the most important aspect of the depreciation schedule. But we're thinking that the time savings will be substantial, and also provide better information to council on the repairs and maintenance schedules.
Very good. Thank you very much. Councillor Kersey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Along that line, if I may, to the treasurer. Now, from a practical standpoint, how is that going to be applied in terms of preparing budgets for any particular year? So, for example, the schedule may project a certain degree of functional non-use or depreciation, but yet the asset may still be valuable and still workable and still working in the field. So could you just expand on how that's going to be applied from a practical standpoint?
Madam
Through you,
Treasurer.
Mr. Mayor. The whole, it's done similar to what we do with the vehicles right now. Vehicles are a simple thing. They say their useful life is 20 years out. At the end of 20 years, we have the vehicle inspected by our mechanic, and it's evaluated to see, does it need to be replaced this year, or can it stay in the fleet, and what is the timing that you're going to get out of this? So we want that same process to happen with the linear assets, for instance, the roads, the asphalt. So we will use these tools to say, it's telling us its useful life is up, but do we need to replace it? Is there something else we can do instead of replacing the whole asset just by repairing it? And these are the things, these are the little pieces we're missing right now. It's just I know Al has the Director of Public Works has a schedule of how the roads need to be replaced, but it's just a schedule of going out, and we want something that tells us that this is the process to follow, and it's standardized, and it's being done and maintained on a regular basis. And then those reports that we can do for updating the repairs and maintenance schedules, we want a tool that can update them at the, flick of a button, and you're not constantly having to put all the entries back in. So that's what we're trying to get with this one consolidated database. Okay?
Thank you.
I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Interestingly, at AMO, there was a question about about this point, and saying that, as the treasurer has said to us before, we're trying to sort of consolidate it within the municipality, but the question is, why isn't the province doing that? So that a road here, we might tag it as 20 years, but somebody else says, oh, it's a 25-year road or whatever. So unfortunately, the minister that was answering the question didn't don't think quite understand the question, so
That's interesting.
anyways, perhaps it's something that we can continue to work on. So when one compares municipalities, it's important to know about the linear assets. The CAO would like to comment, Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to add to what the treasurer was saying, we are working with PSR and our partner Ian Lucas, who is now partnered with Municipal Data Works, which is the data collection for Ontario Good Roads Association. So there's now a partnership of 3 different companies that have come together to create a fixed asset model. PSR will become OGRA's front end, similar to the public service requests that we have on our website. And then another company in OGRA, MDW, the Municipal Data Works, will work to do the back end sort of processing. So it sounds pretty complicated, but we're offering ourselves up yet again, I think, to be a bit of a pilot on this project because of our partnership with PSR. And we also want to be able to develop 3D animation on all the assets as well, particularly when you take a road cross-section. You can look below the asphalt surface, see all the linear assets in their location, saving us all gobs of time and confusion when trying to figure out what's under the ground and how it's replaced, etc. So we're actually at the beginning stages of the project, but we're quite excited about its potential.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Thank you for that. Anything further on the treasurer's report? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. It's been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, second by Councillor King. The Committee of the Whole received the August 2014 Public Works and Utilities Department report for information. Questions, comments regarding that particular report? Councillor King, Durley, Ribbiak. Councillor King.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the Director. First of all, thank you. It's good to see the crosswalks, the pedestrian crosswalks are in operation on Pelham Street, although I can't say that I've had to stop for one yet, thankfully. And also, thank you for the improvements to the Steve Bauer Trail. I see there's still one little tiny thing that needs to be corrected there, but in general, it's great. With respect to the sanitary sewer video inspection and smoke testing program, I note in your report that the residents in the study area would be notified of the program. And I know that at a previous meeting, we had talked about having communication out to the residents that had attended a particular meeting to express their concerns about the flooding in the Stonegate area. So I'm just wondering whether that communication did go out to them so that they are already aware that this smoke testing is probably taking place now.
Mr. Randall? And maybe you can give us an update of where we are in the process.
For you, Mr. Mayor, the program's well underway right now. The contractor has, I think he's today finished up with the video inspection component of it, which ran cameras up all the sanitary laterals right to the foundation wall to see what, if there are any of what we refer to as illegal connections, eave trough downspouts, weeping tiles, that sort of thing. They did find a number of them. So we're gonna, once we have sort of a grand total and we can identify the addresses, they'll be notified of the requirement to disconnect at some point. So we're that far along. The next step is the smoke testing, and that's a condition of the tender documents that the contractor go through the process of identifying, like notifying those residents in the areas that are being smoke tested. We're not smoke testing the entire northeast quadrant. We've selected areas where we anticipate that there would be illegal connections. Not every street's going to be identified. It just simply be those streets where we've done it. Like I think Lorimer Street is one of them. Both ends of Lorimer, the new part and the old part, are both identified in there to see as a comparison, old against new. So they'll be notified by the contractor. That's part of his job, and we'll be spot checking to make sure that they do that work.
Okay, thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Others on this particular item? Is it on this item? If we can continue, so Mr. Mantle, in terms of the timing, I keep getting emails from interested residents in that area about wanting to meet and hear the results of the works. I think Councillor King alluded to this as well. Do we know the timing of when this information will be available, and then recommendations will come to council in terms of actions?
Well, as I said, they finished the video inspections, I believe it was today, they wrapped up that part of it. I think it took them longer than they anticipated. Simply, it's fairly time-consuming running the camera up the sewer level, because what it is, it's a camera that runs up the main sewer itself, and then there's a camera launched off the main unit to run up the laterals and inspect. It's a much more time-consuming process. So I think it took longer than what they expected. We don't have a completion date. We can certainly look into that to see where they're at. But once we have those, the results of the testing, which is part of the process, because they also do the observations with respect to the smoke testing to see where's the smoke coming up, and they'll identify those addresses for us. Then we can start to nail down, is it one problem in particular, or is it a series of small problems that all end up as this cause the basement flooding? So that's what we'll have to have that information before we can come up with a conclusion. Once we have that information, we'll provide it to council in a report form. So again, as soon as we have the information, it'll be brought forward.
Okay, I think it would be important to get an update at our next committee of the whole meeting for sure. One other aspect, or two other aspects related to this, is I did raise the issue at the region today with Betty Matthews-Malone in charge of the pumping station, and she was looking for an update as well, and suggested that maybe town staff and regional staff, once the information is known, can kind of come together with the information they have and sort of plot a course, a joint course together on that. So I leave that with you. And then the final is one of the things we spoke about at, I think, one of our last meetings, the idea of incentives, and I think council directed that staff look into incentives. I did receive some information, I know other members of council did as well, about potential incentives that other municipalities have, Welland, Niagara Falls, and Fort Erie, or St. Catharines, regarding the backflow presenters. I gave that information to the CAO, and I think he's going to give it to you, that folks are looking for those types of incentives if they need that. So can we expect that as well? Maybe I'll turn to the CAO. Mr. CAO, when can we expect that information coming back to us?
It'll come back at the next committee of the whole. If not sooner, we could potentially come back in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you. I think people are wondering about this, so we need to react for them. So thank you very much for that, and thanks for the latitude of council to investigate that a little bit further. It is an important issue in our community. Councillor Durley, I think you were next on another item.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The receiving calls I have for the last several months of Bruce Wood and Foss Road water main, on Daymute and Bruce Wood, things are all dug up again. Is there a problem there with the water main, like Daymute and Bruce Wood? People are saying it was all ripped up again. Just as of last week, they were saying the boulevards are all ripped up again. Is there problems in that area?
The Foss Road is complete. That like, it was two streets were on that project, Foss Road and Bruce Wood. Foss Road's complete. The restoration's done there.
Yeah. Bruce Wood is where I'm getting the calls from.
Bruce Wood is they had to finalize the connections to the distribution system. So the new water main is now connected and in service on that section of Bruce Wood. And then last week, I believe they were making the house connections, and it's not simply a matter of running service up to the lot line. These are services that have to go right into the house, and there's plumbing required as part of it. So there were two houses I think they were doing, and they think they have one disconnection to do in a backyard right now, because the services run through the backyards of those houses. It's a little more complicated than most of these water main jobs. So that was what they were working on last week.
Okay, because it's been a long time. People have concerns. Again, it's a timing factor, and the concerns are, when is it going to be done?
Yeah, I think we're working on the restoration right now.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Councillor Rubio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is with regard to the first point under Department Overview and Statistics. Tender preparation continues for the 2014 capital project. It's currently working on sidewalk construction program. I'm asked frequently about what level of confidence we have that our sidewalks that are planned for 2014 will be done. We have, what, a couple of months left of construction weather, so
Mr. Mantle?
how confident are we?
Mr. Mayor, we're extremely confident that we'll
Extremely?
complete the work. You should see the survey crew out there tomorrow. Such a section of sidewalk, I think we discussed in the past, was it's extremely difficult to construct it. It's the topography and obstructions that are in the way make it a little more difficult than simply digging out some topsoil and placing some forms in. It's elevations will have to be established, and that's why the survey crew will be going out tomorrow to do a topographical survey and then prepare a drawing that matches driveways with boulevards and that sort of thing, and avoids trees.
But we are still through you, Mr. Mayor, we are still extremely confident.
Extremely.
Extremely. Wonderful. Love it. Thank you.
Any further, Councillor? No?
No, that's good.
Other councillors? The final one that Mr. Mantle, you and I have talked about quite a bit is the, as it's called here, the neighborhood traffic management on Haste and on Pancake. And again, I think the region is involved in this, and they had to change something, fix something. Do we have any timelines on when, for example, the Hay Street piece will be done properly?
The line painting crew is supposed to return to the site today. I don't believe they made it there today. The area is laid out for them, ready to go, so as soon as they get there, as soon as we get some weather that's not forecasting rain, I think they did the stop bars on Pelham Street at Robinson Road this afternoon. They got rained out, so they've washed down the hill somewhat. So they'll be redoing those ones again. So again, it's extremely weather dependent. If it rains, the stuff's going to wash away on us. So they had assured me that they will be there as soon as we're a priority to complete that work on Hay Street. Staff have also staked locations for the signs, community safety zone signs. Like those signs have all been staked, and the utility locates are being requested. The signs are already in stock, so as soon as we have utility locates, the signs will go up.
Good. And then the other question was on Pancake, the kind of the crosswalk or the marking of a,
That was
crossing.
laid out last week again for them. So again, that's an outstanding item. They still have to paint that out. And again, it's been staked for sign layout at that location also. So
Okay.
it's all again weather dependent and utility locate dependent
okay,
also.
so pray for nice weather.
I do.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mantle. Thank you. Councillor Pop.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just a quick comment. I wanted to commend the staff of Public Works and the crew with Ryan that did the work along Edward and Haste, an extraordinary job and very well received by the residents, and continuation of drainage, you want to call it, repair and upgrade, and residents, everybody was very, I'm extremely pleased what you did there. Very professional, very well done.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mantle. And your report is very comprehensive on a number of other areas. Congratulations on them, especially the facilities, which seem to be moving along. And there's a number of facilities that are currently being worked on, so congratulations on that. Thank you. Anything else? Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Mantle, for your ongoing dedication and work. The next item has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Ribbiak, that the recommendation report regarding the zoning bylaw amendment application number AM 0914 for the subject parcel referred to as Ryan's Grove subdivision, file number 2016-19-0001, legally described as part of Lot 177, Geographic Township of Thorold, and Block 51, Plan 59M235, and Block 13, Plan 59M232, Registered Plan 59M406 be received, and staff be directed to prepare and present the necessary adopting bylaw for consideration by council. Questions, comments? Councillor Durley, do you have something? I knew you raised it earlier. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, the report indicates that there's going to be a fence erected. What kind of fence is going to be there? And because I know houses on Sadler already have fences, and there's going to be another fence put in. I'm just wondering how that's going to fit into the neighborhood.
Mr. Lemmer?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. The fences are existing. The developer wishes to construct a new fence. I believe he's gonna go to the residents and ask them if they'd like their fence replaced. If not, he won't touch their fence and, you know, put a new fence back to back. Obviously, the optimum solution is to have one fence there, but if a resident prefers their fence, then they're entitled to keep it. The fence would be on the new development's property, and that's their right to do if they choose.
And I'm assuming a 6-foot high privacy fence type thing.
1.8 meter, I believe it is, 5.5 feet or so. something
Okay,
like
I don't talk that
Yeah.
language. Okay.
that. But yes, essentially, it's a form of privacy fence.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Others? There were some concerns, Councillor Durley, you raised it last council meeting, I think, when we received a letter.
Yeah, we,
That,
I just wondered if the solution that had been put forward had been addressed in the letter.
yeah, in speaking with the director through you, Mr. Mayor, that has been addressed, and the erection of this fence is certainly going to act as a
Okay.
as a border between. So I believe that situation is under control, and I thank staff for really having a good look at that. Yes.
good job.
Okay, thank you, Councillor, for updating all council on that, and thank you for your work. Anything else on this report? I'm sorry.
Well, thank you,
Councillor
Mr. Mayor.
Lane, and
No,
then-
I basically,
Councillor
oh,
Kirsten,
sorry,
then
did you
Lane.
want, okay,
Nope, go
sorry.
ahead.
I basically just wanted to commend staff on what turns out to be a compromise. I'm sure neither party is 100% satisfied with the end result, but in fact, it maintains the texture and character of the neighborhood and reaches a compromise that I think both parties can live with and move forward. So I'd like to thank them for their great work.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just through you, when the comment was made, they're gonna build fences back to back, am I just questioning what would happen in between the fences with the weeds growing to a height that no one maybe can cut the wooden fences? Has any thought been given to that scenario? I don't know.
Mr. Glover, can you comment, please?
Ideally, the new developer will be going to homeowners and not everyone, but perhaps most people would say, you're gonna build me a brand new fence that's gonna match my neighbors. They would, for free, they would go for that. Some neighbors may choose the fences they have, and that's their right, and there is a possibility of vegetation, weeds and that growing between them. With different sprays or maintenance, that can be controlled. It's not ideal again, but it's a possibility.
Just can't buy spray that kills weeds anymore.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, there being none, are we ready for calling the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Thank you, and thanks for council's comments. It's been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Ribbiak, the Committee of the Whole receive the August 2014 Community Planning and Development Services Report for information. Comments, questions? Councillor Papp?
I'm always amazed and very confident when I read the report from the director, and I'm very happy that, without getting into where people decide to go ahead and build without a permit. And over the years, I've seen someone who they have basically felt that they could get away with not following the law, and I'm glad we enforced it. And I think it sends a message throughout the community that we're willing to work with people on additions or construction, but you need to comply with the law. And I'm glad that's been done.
Thank you, Councillor. Others? Councillor Kersey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, very brief question. Do we have year-to-date numbers comparative to 2013, 2012?
Oh, yeah. I'll say another
I
question.
mean, we see it on a month by month, but I wondered if we had a year-to-date comparative.
I'm
And if you
sorry,
don't have it,
Councillor, you're speaking regarding building
Buil-
activity?
Building permits and, values, et cetera.
I think there is a chart. You're looking for additional information to what's the chart on?
Well, the chart talks respect to month over month.
value.
I just wanted to see values year over year.
Oh, year over year. Okay.
And if you don't have the information with you today, I'm not concerned about it. I just wondered if maybe you could include it the next turnaround.
Mr. Glover?
I'm sure we can come up with some numbers. I'd have to look into the amount of labor that would take to come up with them. We've started a new system computer system, and we're able to pull these numbers off relatively simply now because we have it down pat. To go back to previous numbers when it was the old system, it may be a little bit laborious, but we can definitely pull it if that's what council wants.
Okay, thank you. Counselor?
I think it would be an interesting point of information, but if it's going to be exceedingly time-intensive, then I would say not bother, but
Yeah. Some of those may have been reported in annual reports from the department, so maybe you can find them that way. Mr. Glover?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we definitely look into the issue. We can, our next report, we can either provide the answer or give an explanation as to why it'd be difficult to provide the answer.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Papp?
Just quickly, 30 seconds. The new zoning bylaw, the work is commenced in 2014. I expect, through you, Mr. Mayor, that this will be presented to us at the new council.
Mr. Glover?
Something before we adjourn.
Before or after December 1st?
I can't answer that right now. We're doing some work behind the scenes right now,
Mr. CEO.
and we hope to have something to provide the council as soon as possible. When that date is, I don't know right now.
Okay, that's fine.
I would suspect it's going to be probably in the new year. You'll get supplemental information, but the completed bylaw is going to take a bit more time.
So first quarter.
Okay, that's correct.
Thanks. Okay.
Thank you. Others? Good comment on, just, Mr. Glover, thanks for providing the average number of days for permits. I think that's helpful, and it's good to continue to monitor that and see how that works. So thank you for that. That's looking like some great turnaround. And as well, just for council, it is interesting to note the activity and how it's the last couple of months actually have been the highest in the last 4 years. So, you know, I can understand what Councillor Kirsty's asking for. Well, okay, the last couple have been good. How do we compare to year? So we'll look forward to receiving that information. Is there anything else? I'm sorry, Councillor Lane.
Just one point, if I might, Mr. Mayor, and I was wondering if, through you, if there's been any talk with the new store being built about signage.
Well, LCBO.
Mr. Glover, you had a week.
You're referring to the signage at the LCBO and location near Sobeys. Unfortunately, I have nothing to report. We've talked with the owner, we've talked with LCBO. I'm awaiting a call from them, which I didn't receive today. I hope to. I will be calling them tomorrow to see if I can make progress that way. See what happens.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Burley, second by Councillor King. The Committee of the Whole receive the 2014 Fire and Bylaw Services Report for information. Any discussion? Councillor Papp?
I found it very interesting, and I thought, to the credit of the department, recently there was an establishment where they actually conducted the liquor license compliance. And to say the least, of that particular facility or establishment was surprised. But to their credit, they met all the conditions of the particular, involvement of the personnel there. Because sometimes I think it's taken for granted they operate on a certain level. And they were very appreciative that they came in and they met tobacco, alcohol, all the rest of that stuff. So I'm very pleased to see that's, sometimes things are taken for granted. I'm glad that was undertaken in such a I understand, a very professional manner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Rybak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was interested in seeing the statistics with regard to environmental bylaw fill applications. I was wondering how many of those recently have been related to the Fenwick revitalization and the disposition of fill therefrom? Is that the reason for the increase, or are there other reasons as well?
Can you answer that, Chief?
Actually, we haven't received any fill out of that. So there's been quite a bit of fill that come out of the Highway 20 to the region project. There's been from just on the other side of Weber Road, the Policello development. He's been bringing some fill into the Summerall Road areas and the Foss Road areas, and but not really Not off the top of my head, no, we haven't.
They haven't removed much.
The soils coming out of that zone, as Mr. Mail had spoke to, is that there's some problems with it.
That's right, that's right.
So, no.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do note that there are four, so there's obviously a process in place that's being respected, and I guess I'm impressed that it is, and that we're following up on it, and that there are statistics being kept, so thank you. That seems to be.
The contractors seem to be cooperating with us more so than the owners themselves. I think the contractors, Peter's here on Highway 20, they actually employ a environmental health and safety person, and he's responsible for all that stuff. And he makes sure that whatever comes out of the ground, wherever it's going, is good, or if it's bad, it's going to the proper landfill site. So, got a lot of cooperation in that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarification, so as I understand it, it's the contractors who want to comply with the bylaw, and that property owners perhaps are not aware of the bylaw? Is that what's?
You know, it's part of our application process is the owner comes to us with the request to put fill into his property. Then we have to, they have to give us a plot, a layout of where it's going, where it's coming from, how much there's gonna be, and who's bringing it, and then that person has to comply also, the contractor that's bringing it.
Impressive. I like it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kersey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the chief. Chief, I'm wondering, when I look at your reports, I'm noting that the number of EMAs relative to other items where the fire department's involved almost seems to be increasing proportionately. And I wondered if the region is taking any measures to filter the dispatching of the various response sectors to avoid duplication, or to avoid having, your team go out and then being beat to the site, if you will, by EMA groups, and so then it becomes a sort of a redundant, money spent for nothing type of issue. So could you comment on that briefly? And
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we've had discussions in the last few months with the region, mayor. We've had a few, Darren. Medical calls represent the highest percentage of calls in the region, or all fire departments. And there's a tiering method in place, and the municipality decides what level of care they're going to provide. And when you decide on that level, you get what comes with it, and there's no picking and choosing. You can't. I have an issue right now with some care facilities that we're going for repeated calls, and we're working closely with the EMS and St. Catharines Dispatch. We're trying to isolate those and trying to eliminate some of those type of calls. But to say that we're not going to send fire to a medical call in town, but keep the medical going in Fenwick or in North Pelham, we can't split. When we commit to the level one response, you unfortunately get what they throw at you. And yes, sometimes it is duplicated. Sometimes ambulance gets there before us and cancels us. But there are times when we beat the ambulance there, and if we didn't have the commitment we do with the town, then I think that some of the citizens would suffer from that.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Councillor?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Others on the fire report, Councillor Pat?
Just quickly, I couldn't attest more to that. You're right. In many occasions that we saw, personally, that the fire department was there long before, not long, but ambulance came afterwards, and it was, I guess it's a very, very delicate, but the response has always been instantaneously, and I deeply appreciate it. But you need, the volume is increasing, and the problem is particularly, like you say, with long-term care and other facilities. Sometimes it's, the question is, why do you need the fire dispatch? You could actually handle it through some other methodologies.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. So just to that point, the Chief had indicated we've had some discussions, and it's true, other communities have looked at this issue.
Yeah.
Grimsby, for instance, looked at the issue, and they only have one fire station, and they have, was it 850 calls, is that correct?
Around 900, yeah.
900 calls. and it was really affecting their part-time service, their volunteer firefighters. And so they took a look at, and it made sense for them, I think, in the situation that they were in to perhaps change the system. But given where we are, as the chief indicated, with the 3 fire halls and, the excellent part-time firefighters that we have, they're not, although fire station number 1 does have a significant number of calls, over 400 and, is it 425, is that correct? Chief, in that neck of the woods, so, on average, 1 and a bit a day, but certainly they're getting to all those calls, so I think it's something the chief will continue to monitor, and it's something that council should continue to monitor as well, and it's good to ask. And as development grows, we need to continue to think about those things and how we deal with the growth, maintain our small town feel as we grow, as it were. So it's good to ask the questions and have the conversations. Thank you. Anything further? Ready for calling the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. It's been moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Kersey, that Committee of the Whole receive the August 2014 Recreation, Culture and Wellness Department report for information. Questions, comments on the director's report? Lots of stuff going on there. Thank you, Madam Director, for reporting on the statistics of the summer camps. Congratulations, the busiest ever. Just tremendous, and all the activities as well. So thank you. And your report also indicates that certain reports will be coming to us about Summerfest and Supper Market. So we look forward to receiving those. Other comments, questions? There being none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. And now to the clerk's report. It's been moved by Councillor Papp, second by Councillor Lane, that we receive the August 2014 Clerk's Department report for information. Questions, comments? Anyone? Do you want to comment now or later about retirement and stuff? Okay, thank you. Anything further? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk. You're up to lots of activities as well, especially with the election, so thank you for your continued work on that. It's been moved by Councillor Papp, second by Councillor Kersey. The Committee of the Whole receive the August 2014 Chief Administrative Officer's report for information. Questions, comments? Many of the items been discussed in other areas. Councillor Kersey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. CAO, I'm wondering whether your reference to the River Realty properties are they the properties that are related to the other issue with respect to our lands and the rezoning, that some of the development that was planned and the amendments that were planned are dependent upon coming to some agreement with River Realty with respect to drainage and stormwater management and all of that sort of thing? There were certain sections that were deferred.
Right, thank you, through Mr. Mayor. The River Realty is part of the overall project for East Fawn Hills. So the water course, there's a certain amount of the storm pond and the road that needs to be done in conjunction with River Realty. At this point, we're working on the engineering. We haven't had any formal meetings lately, but we have been keeping them in the loop as far as the East Fawn Hill project. I expect that there'll probably be some more constructive discussions about timing and phasing probably later this month. So we're waiting for some information from a third party that would have an effect.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I think also, Mr. CEO, it's relating not only to the development lands in the north, but also with their development. Is that correct? you make some reference to that in your report.
That's correct.
Okay. Because they had some issues to deal with significant water on their properties.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Councillor Kersey?
No, thank you.
Councillor Pop, did you have something?
Very quickly, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recently, I've had some discussions, and it's been very positive discussions about what's been going on with East Fonthill, but particularly the commercial and retail development. And I see that both you and Darren have met with the Regional Economic Development. People are starting to wonder and speculate what's going to happen along Highway 20, what the impact will be downtown on businesses. And I just wondered if there's, when the region says it's going to provide assistance, can you, I mean, you don't have to tell us what exactly are they looking at, because I know we have to roll out. And I said for very upbeat, because people are asking, you know, what kind of restaurants are going to be, because people in the mall are interested, what kind of the stores are going to go in. They're trying to, I guess, to some extent, be proactive in planning out what could be either a positive or, with all due respect, a negative impact on their commercial and retail operations. So can you just give me, can you give us some idea what are they prepared to do to help us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To answer the councilor's question, the conversation with the Economic Development Department was, I think, a couple of things. One, it was to bring the new director up to speed on the development. He wasn't familiar completely with it.
Okay.
So it was a bit of intelligence gathering and sharing. The second part was we had a discussion with the region and looking at opportunities for economic development growth in the knowledge-based sectors, which Innovate Niagara and BioLink at Brock have been playing an incubator role to great success. Our question was, what's the opportunity for Pelham sort of between at the end of the incubator process and at the point where a company is well established and successful? There's that intermediate ground, and how is there, you know, is there an opportunity for us to play a role in growing knowledge-based economy in that context in this community? So the director has approached both BioLink and Innovate Niagara. We're attempting to set up a meeting fairly quickly so that we can have a discussion to see where there may be some opportunities, and that was more or less the extent of our conversation.
Good to hear.
Just if I might add to that, the CEO's report talks a lot about East Fonthill, but we did talk about other economic development opportunities in the community, and even just general supports. So it was sort of an orientation session to everything that's going on in the community. I think we did talk a lot about, for instance, the airport, and that is a potential. They really do want to be a partner, and they are reaching out, which is excellent. And I think the CEO has indicated in his report they do want to be part of our renewed economic development group. So when that gets reinstated, which we're hoping is soon, I think we're still waiting for some data. But they can also help with the analytics of the data and say, okay, we understand what this means here, but this is what it also could mean. So it's really beneficial that way.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Mayor, again, not just, I mean, East Fonthill's a big thing going on, but I agree, along Weber Road, there's all kinds. Recently, I've had discussions with people that are interested in saying, why would I want to locate or put a business into Pelham? What are the advantages? And I'm going generally, whether it's along Highway 20, along Weber. So that package is something that aggressively over the next 12 months should be, you know, put out there, because there are people looking at not only incubating, but actually starting something here. And we have a number of distinct advantages, whether it's the airport, arterial roads, Highway 20, and all this stuff can be packaged in such a way that we can say it to them. And along with the other fact that I'm glad to hear is what other new and creative types of businesses could be established, whether it's in the East Fonthill or other parts of the town.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Kersey, I had you next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just continuing along the idea of knowledge-based economies, I just wondered whether we've had any consideration in opening discussions with both Brock University and Niagara College. Here we are smack in the middle of both of them. Many communities have been eminently successful in developing a knowledge-based economy by partnering with institutions of higher knowledge, and here we are, we have one on each wing of our community, so I wonder if that would be a worthwhile area to pursue, and if any thought's been given to that.
Mr. CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To answer the councilor's question, yeah, absolutely. A lot of thought. We're not there yet. I think that the Economic Development Committee that council has started needs to figure out what exactly we have, and that's the process of the data analyzing. I fully expect that there will be an engagement of Niagara College and Brock on economic development initiatives. Having said that, BioLink is a Brock initiative that we're going to be starting to talk with them already about, so the short answer is yes.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Others? Any other topics from the CEO's report? Thank you, Mr. CEO, for your ongoing leadership. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Lane, that this regular meeting of Committee of the Whole be adjourned until the next regular committee scheduled for Monday, September 15th, unless sooner called by the mayor. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you to all staff for their ongoing work. Appreciate it. Thank you. Take care.
I didn't tell you guys whether that does.
Good night.
I was waiting like for
Bumped into Paul.
good meeting.
It just